Good morning, BookTube, YouTube. This is Johnny. No more experimentation. No more fooling around with other cameras or laptops or movies. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing because I looked at cam filmmakers or something. I can't remember now. Anyway, I looked at other ways to film videos and I can't come up with anything, so I'll just keep doing what I'm doing and just keep this going on about 25 minutes. Today is May the 3rd, 2025. It is 9:07. Yeah, the reason why I keep the time is because that's what I do in my diary. Like this morning is May 3rd, 2025. I'm reading from my paper diary. I'm on page 396. It is May 3rd, 2025. It is 8:22 a.m. Saturday morning. And then I have below, it is 8:49 a.m. Mess with our main computer. And now it is 9:08 and I'm filming a video in my YouTube channel. I'm a timekeeper. I'm always aware of time. Because time is running out, time is coming to an end. I'm going to be 73 years old in August. Time. Today, this is the month of May. Kara and I have been married 46 years on May 19th, 2025. My kids are getting older, our grandkids are getting older, time is going by. American history is dark and very depressing time in American history. But then once again, as I was thinking about that this morning, looking at the national news and getting sick of heart, it's always been this way. I'm a student of human history. I've read about, read the Bible. I mentioned to you that my wife and I were reading, before we go to bed, we're reading through the prophecy of Isaiah. And you think about the Babylonians and the Syrians bringing down the wrath of God upon Israel and Judah for their idolatry and for their wickedness and for them turning away from God. And it's just always been that way. There's always been it's always been that way. And so I was thinking to myself, well, you just got to pray for grace to get through the day. So yeah, I'm writing in my paper diary. I'm on page 396 for the year 2025. Waking up, I got up about an hour ago and Carol called me from Chicago. She was going out for breakfast and then going to those sessions at this conference that she's going to. This conference is put on by the Presbyterian Church in America, Women Ministry. It's about women's ministry and the PCA. And so, and I told you my wife is involved in women's ministry at her church. And she is on the education, she's in charge of education. And so anyway, in this video, I thought I'd show you, this week I went to Bluestocking's Book Shop and I bought some books, and I thought I'd show those to you. Plus, I got books in the mail. I showed you I got this yesterday. I ordered this from a book dealer. Behold my servant. Sermons on Isaiah 52:13 through 53:12, translated out of the French by Robert White. And I've been reading in the mornings for devotions. I showed this to you, The Life of Christ, via Justo Christi, Volume 1, Editor's Edition. I've shown this to you. So, and I showed you, I've been reading Ellmann's Joyce, the biography of a masterpiece and its maker by Zachary Leader. I got this last week. week before, I can't remember now. But these are the, and also I got a thrift, I buy books from thrift store books, and I bought this, I got in the mail this week, retrospective novel by Juan Gabriel Vasquez, translated from the Spanish by McLean. Yeah, I started reading. I decided not to read Ulysses by James Joyce. I just could not get into it. I don't know. There's this kind of blockage, and I started reading this, and I've read about 100 pages of this. I have other novels by him, I told you. I have his novel, The Shape of the Ruins, The Sound of Things Falling. And so I've been reading this. So I'm going to show you the books I bought at Bluestocking Book Shoppe here in Holland, Michigan. And one I've been reading also, this is by Ada Calhoun, Frank O'Hare, My Father and Me. Also a poet, Frank O'Hare, My Father and Me by Ada Calhoun. And this is a memoir. Her father was Ada Calhoun, her father was a poet. He wrote art criticism. He wrote about dance, modern dance, and there in New York City. And back in the 70s, he was in the New York. He was in the circle of the New York City poets, Frank O'Hare, other poets, Barbara, other poets. And so she is Ada Calhoun is a journalist. She's written books, and she came across one time these cassettes that her father did these interviews back in the 70s, and he was going to do a biography on Frank O'Hare. But due to all kinds of complications, he never accomplished it. So in this book, this memoir, she gets permission from her father to listen to the cassettes, these interviews with these people who knew Frank O'Hare. And it's kind of like it's about her relationship with her father. It's about the New York City poets. She listens to the cassettes, the interviews, she meets the people, and it's kind of like a biography or about Frank O'Hare in that time period. It's kind of interesting. So I got that at the Bluestocking Book Shoppe. That's the thing that really was worth going. And then I bought at the Bluestockings Malcolm and Wolfe, The French and Indian Wars by Francis Parkman. Francis Parkman is a very famous American historian, and I'm into American history, and I collect his books. He's written a lot of books, I think, if I remember correctly. This is a part of a trilogy, if I remember correctly. So I got that at Bluestockings. Nice cover. Yeah, I like American history. I'm a student of American history, American history of Christianity in America, American literary history. I collect books on American history, like the American Transcendentalism, books on the Gilded Age, the 60s, hippies, the Beat era, New York City, and abstract painters, New York City poets, things like that. Now, I also picked up at Bluestockings The Land of Green Plums by Herta Muller, translated from the German by Michael Hofmann. I collect the writings of Herta Muller, so that's why I picked this up. And one thing I didn't know about when I bought it, that it's underlined. And I so happen to have another copy of this, so I will get rid of this because I don't like underline. Even though it cost me $3.40, I will have to get rid of it. Then I have Anecdotes of Destiny and Elkengard by Iska Denzent. I collect this writer's novels and writings. I have several in my collection. Yeah, I have to dump this. I didn't know it was underlined. You know, that's one thing that bugs me. When they put books on the shelf that are damaged and they charge, this thing's only worth 10 cents. And it was $3.40. I have to get rid of it. It's kind of sad. This is Nathan Hill. This is his novel Wellness. I read a couple years ago his novel The Nix, which I have, which I cannot find in my library. One of the best books of the year, the NPR, New York Post, Library Journal. So this is Wellness by Nathan Hill. Yeah, I read The Nix and I put it somewhere down the lower level and I cannot find it. So I'll keep looking. I collect the essays of Joseph Epstein, and I found at Bluestocking's Friendship and Expose. These are essays by Joseph Epstein. Yeah, he's like he writes these witty kind of essays. I have his one on snobbery, the American version. He's former editor of the American Scholar. His works has appeared in the New Yorker, the Atlantic Monthly, Harper's Magazine, Commentary, and other magazines. Yeah, I really like his essays. I have a volume in my study of his essays that I've been reading. And I picked up Allies at War, How the Struggles Between the Allied Powers Shaped the War in the World by Tim Boveri. This is on the Second World War, and it looked kind of interesting. I've been reading on the Second World War the last year and this year. I'm not really a big World War II buff, but when I was reading through this, certain things I wanted to read, certain chapters, so I picked this up. And then I picked this up the other day. I was coming home from this week, Tuesday, I had an appointment with my psychologist. And after my session, on the way home, I stopped at Gateway Mission Thrift Store and I found one book, and this is Invented Lives, Scott Fitzgerald, F. Scott and Zelda Fitzgerald. It's a biography by James R. Mellon, and I collect his Now I dehauled all my F. Scott Fitzgerald, Zelda Fitzgerald collection. But the reason why I bought this is because it's by James R. Mellon, and I collect his biographies. I have his biography on Gertrude Stein. I have his biography on Hemingway. I have his biography on Nathaniel Hawthorne, Gertrude Stein, Hemingway, and somebody else. So that's why I got this. I collected, as you know, that I mainly collect fiction and biography, memoirs, letters, autobiographies. Those are the things I like to buy, where I look for, and that's why I got this. Even though I got rid of all my Scott Fitzgerald books, The Great Gatsby, and other books, but this was only $2. I collect his biographies, and also it's of that time period. I like reading biographies of people in that time period in Paris. Scott Fitzgerald, Hemingway, James Joyce, Gertrude Stein. When it comes to Nathaniel Hawthorne, I'm really into American Transcendentalism, that whole time in American literary life, 1840s, 1850s, that time period. American Transcendentalism, so I got that. So those are the books I got this week. And I got a book coming in the mail tomorrow. Since it's tulip time here in Holland, Michigan, I don't travel anywhere because the traffic is so bad. But I really have been enjoying also a poet, Frank O'Hara, My Father and Me. I read last year a biography on Frank O'Hara, the poet, and I read a lot of his poetry last year. So, and I like reading about that whole time period in the 70s, 60s there in New York City. The painters, the poets, Jack Kerouac, Jackson Pollock, de Kooning, Andy Warhol, that whole time period. I've been reading Retrospective, a novel, the last couple of days. It's okay. It's interesting. And been reading Ellmann's Joyce, Zachary Leader. But yeah, I kind of read this and I kind of put it aside for a couple of days because I was reading it intensely, and I'm letting it just settle, just think about it. And I'll be reading this morning, Behold My Servant, these sermons on Isaiah 52, verse 13 to 53, verse 12. So that's what's going on. Yeah, Carol gets back from the conference this afternoon, and so life just keeps going. So I hope you're having a good weekend. Have a good reading. I hope you had a good reading week. We're going through the month of May now. So yeah. So I will thank you for the comments. Thank you for subscribing. I noticed today I lost subscribers, but once again, I'm just here to share my love for books, and talk about books that I found interesting, like Ellmann's Joyce, it's a book on Richard Ellmann wrote a very famous biography on James Joyce, considered one of the greatest literary biographies of the 20th century. And this is a biography on Richard Ellmann and then him writing all the work he put into writing James Joyce's biography. Now, James Joyce wrote the very famous modernist novel Ulysses. So, and I like reading. He lives in Bogota. So I like reading South American writers and poets. That's why I'm reading this. I like reading poetry of Frank O'Hara. I like reading about history. I like good fiction. Yeah, I look forward to reading this. Nathan Hill, Wellness. I read the Knicks. I like reading essays, Friendship and Exposed by Joseph Epstein. Reading about European history. One of the major things of the European history was the Second World War, the First World War, allies at war. And I like reading good biographies, Invented Lives, F. Scott and Zelda Fitzgerald by James R. Mellon. So I'll sign off. It's been 20 minutes. Yeah, too bad about this book being damaged. It really kind of sucks that they sold it. I should have looked at it more closely. Sometimes, I don't know, I just forget to look at books. Luckily, I have another copy of it. So, anyway, I'll sign off. This is a Saturday. Yeah, I'll read and I'll write throughout the day. We have Ollie, our son's dog. Our oldest son lives down the street. They're in Chicago for the weekend for a family outing. So I'm watching our dog, Ollie. That's who you hear barking. We don't have a dog. We had 2 dogs over the years. About 24 years of dog. We had a dog named Macintosh, and we had a dog named Rudy. Macintosh was a West Highland Terrier. We bought Macintosh when we were living in Houston, Texas. He lived about 13, 14 years, and he got dementia, started losing his mind. And then Rudy, he was a Yorkie mix, and he died of cancer back in July 2016, I think. And we had him for about 13 years. And so, but Ollie is our grandson. He's our son's dog. We call him our grandson. He's part of the family. Yeah, I just don't, dogs and cats are a lot of, I mean, we never had cats because Carol's allergic to cat hair. But I've always loved cats, but I can't have any cats because Carol's allergic to cat hair. But if Carol wasn't allergic to cat hair, I had a cat. I always had cats when I was growing up. Before my mother was killed, I always had a cat. And anyway, I'm rambling. May the Lord bless, and hope you're all doing well. And until next time, bye.